Hello everyone, I'm glad we are all here. Now, things today are going to be silly and things are going to get serious. So, what exactly brings us here together today? To quote the Princess Bride, it's marriage. Marriage is what brings us together here today. Marriage, that blessed arrangement, that dream within a dream, and love, true love, will follow you forever. So treasure your love. This love is so vital to a marriage, so pure and so beautiful. Where can we find it? Some of you here today might be looking for it. Others have found it. A few have lost it. And still there are those here holding on to it with all they have. Here are the unmarried singles, dating couples, engaged lovebirds, and those who have already entered in holy matrimony. All of us have an idea of what love is. Maybe you've seen it, you've heard about it, and maybe you've heard about Jim and Pam. There's a beautiful couple simply known as Jim and Pam. They were co-workers in the paper company office. Pam was the cheerful secretary, and Jim was a successful paper salesman. They joked with one another, playfully pranked their uptight co-worker Dwight, and navigated workplace drama together. Their friendship built fairly healthily for multiple years and seasons, eventually blossoming into love and dating. Many people saw their love story build into an exciting and happy marriage following their engagement. Not much more time had passed when Jim and Pam had a beautiful baby girl, Cece, whom they could share their love with together. And this love was going so great, soon came another blessing in the form of their baby boy, Philip. What a beautiful story. Two people treasuring their love and even creating life. This office romance wasn't perfect, though. It wouldn't be sustained itself through children. Jim began working a business with his buddy that started up out of town called Athlete or Athletes League, which required him to be away from home and away from his family. He also did it at first without letting his wife Pam know. In Jim's absence, Pam began to have doubts. There was a crevice that broke open in the marriage that slowly grew to a larger gap. The marriage began to have serious problems. Jim once wasn't able to make it to his daughter's dance recital that he sincerely promised he'd go to. And Pam began to talk to a close friend named Brian about her feelings and marital problems, when really she should have been confiding in her husband. Nothing extreme had happened, and yet this gap seemed too large to cross. There are only a few possible outcomes here. Either they fall away from each other out of love, resulting in two very distant people who are practically divorced without officially doing paperwork, and then full-blown divorce and separation from one another. The other possibility is to recognize the problem and fix it by coming back together into love. So let's talk about marriage. Ephesians 5:22-33 says, "Wives, submit to your husbands as to the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church, his body, and is himself its Savior. Now as the church submits to Christ, so also wives should submit in everything to their husbands. Husbands, love your wives, as Christ loved the church, and gave himself up for her, that he might sanctify her, having cleansed her by the washing of water with the word, so that he might present the church to himself in splendor, without spot or wrinkle or any such thing, that she might be made holy and without blemish. In the same way, husbands should love their wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself. For no one ever hated his own flesh, but nourishes and cherishes it, just as Christ does the church, because we are members of his body. Therefore a man shall leave his father and mother and hold fast to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. This mystery is profound, and I am saying that it refers to Christ and the church. However, let each one of you love his wife as himself, and let the wife see that she respects her husband." All right, so the church is married to Christ. with husbands and wives reflecting that. What a wonderful marriage that should be. But it always isn't that way, is it? In the United States, 41% of first-time marriages end in divorce. That's a study from McKinley Irving Family Law. Now, how does that compare to the church? According to Barna Research, born-again Christians get a divorce rate 33% of the time. Sure, it's a little bit better than our surrounding culture, but are we really accepting that? And is that really okay? That's literally a third. Let's flip this. How many marriages actually pass if we're using the same number? That would be about 67%, which is a D-letter grade for an average. That's not a very good average. We can't honestly say that it's not that bad, because here we are talking about people and their commitment to love each other. How strong is that commitment when it ends in every 1 out of 3 marriages in the church? What's the problem? So what are we supposed to do? What would Jesus do? Well, Jesus died for the church so that the church might be sanctified. He loved her so much that he died for her, that she be made holy and without imperfections. Talk about love. Talk about passion. Christ and the church are supposed to be one flesh, like husband and wife. The church is the very body of Christ. There is so much oneness, so much wholeness. Together they rejoice and fight with all they've got to have each other. How does this happen? It is the church submitting to Christ, and it is Christ loving the church. For a human marriage, this looks like a woman with a deep respect for her husband. For a human marriage, this looks like a man wholeheartedly cherishing his wife. Now, Jim and Pam didn't get a divorce. They realized they needed each other. They made decisions that were best for their family and their marriage. Jim moved his work back and communicated, and Pam communicated her feelings and concerns with him. In a healthy marriage, neither person can be selfish. Both people need to be selfless, since you are now one flesh. Don't pull apart the wholeness that is marriage. Marriage is so much more than just a dream. It's a commitment so serious that Christ was willing to die and did so for his bride. A commitment so strong, the church has attempted to serve Christ for 2 millennia. 2,000 years. Talk about a commitment that's never fully been snuffed out. Sure, there's been bumps along the way, but the commitment has been made this far. God's principles of marriage work, and the marriage of Christ in the church is beautiful. Together in unity, as one whole, masterfully woven together. In conclusion, in marriage, remember you two are one. Wives, deeply respect your husbands, just as the church serves Christ. Husbands, passionately cherish your wives as Christ gave his life for the church. And everyone together, cherish your love.